Hello and welcome to CadoinkStudios. We have for you today a game between two NerVe clan members, myself, Cadoink, as well as Topeg. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our players. We have today in the south position of Shattered Temple, the blue Terran Cadoink, while in the left position, spawning in close air, we have the green Terran Topeg. Both players are members of a clan called NerVe. So here's a shout out to Clan NerVe, a very awesome clan, very awesome people there. And this is a little best of 3 series we did. Yeah, so best of 3. I'm going to be uploading it and casting it for you guys, and I hope you enjoy it. So the two players are spawning in close air positions on Shattered Temple. This will mean we'll see a lot of drop play as well as maybe Banshee harassment. This sort of thing is very good on close air positions. If they're spawning on cross positions such as this, we'd probably see more tank maneuvering and this sort of thing rather than early air play that seems to be very common. One difference we do see between Cadoink and Topeg is their positioning of their first supply depot and their barracks. Cadoink builds his first supply depot right next to his base, kind of does a wall off right here with the Vespine Geyser as well as his barracks, while Topeg is building it as his ramp. This is something Cadoink used to do, but hasn't done for a long time, probably hasn't done since beta actually, even though it's becoming increasingly popular. Once again, I see it on a lot of streams. Cadoink has managed to scout his opponent's base first. Topeg went for that close ground position that I can't spawn at, but perhaps he was not made aware of this. But he is going to spot the cross position, and see that I'm not there, and he's just going to be able to know that I am in the close air position with him. While I'm doing some scouting and seeing that he only has one gas as well as just the barracks at this time, kind of doing the usual thing. I'm putting my second gas up because this will lend towards an earlier Banshee, which is very good in these close air positions. Topeg getting his orbital command up and finally scouting down at the south position. He's going to see Cadoink's base. He can run right up because Cadoink does not have any kind of wall off at his main. So he does run in and he sees what's going on. He's going to see that early gas, and he's going to be able to deduce that there should be some sort of early air play, which we do see. I am putting down a factory at this time, and Topeg is getting his up as well. Topeg's is a bit earlier than Cadoink, while his gas is a bit later. He does manage to pick off my scout, while Cadoink picks off Topeg's scout at the same time. We see that the wall is finishing off for Topeg with that supply depot, so Cadoink will not be able to run any units up in there and see what's going on. Right now, Cadoink is aware. He is aware of this factory. He does see it. He does know that there will be tank play, but he does not know about the starport that's going up for Topeg. But the starport will be going up for Cadoink as well, although interestingly, Topeg does manage to get his starport up quite a bit earlier than Cadoink. We see that Topeg is finally moving out, sending some Marines to the center of the map to get some scouting done. They're going to take this watchtower. 3 Marines are very strong. If Cadoink decides to send just 1, these 3 Marines will be able to pick them off very easily, and they will be taken out. And we do see tech labs going on for both players at their factories. They're going to be switching them and probably getting some sort of Banshee early on. Topeg might opt to get medevacs and then do maybe a tank drop. This sort of thing is quite good in close air positions, and yes, we do see a medevac coming out for Topeg rather than him switching the factory and starport and getting the Banshee up. While Cadoink is doing the opposite, he is moving his factory away, and he is going to be lifting off that starport and putting it on the tech lab. We see neither player has taken any sort of expansion. Their naturals are both empty at this time, and are probably going to remain empty for a while as they are doing this 1-1-1 build. And look at this, we do see a I guess a misclick for Cadoink. He does build a Raven first rather than a Banshee, but he does cancel it and start to build the Banshee. He's also getting that second tech lab up on that factory so he can start getting tanks out and doing some serious damage. Back in Topeg's base, we see that his medevac is filled up with 3 Marines. They're going to be able to do some drops, and Cadoink at the same time is moving 2 Marines out in the middle of the field. They are going to get to this watchtower and kill off this Marine and take control of the tower. So he will have the vision at this point, but he's not going to know about this drop that's coming. There are 3 more Marines being put into this medevac, and they are going to be dropped in Cadoink's base. And Cadoink's Marines are all the way at the ramp, and he might be able to pick off some SCVs, but Cadoink's going to spot it because his Banshee has just finished, and he's dropping the Marines, and they're going to be shooting at this Banshee, and he's using the Banshee to take out the Marines, but oh my gosh, Topeg is able to pick off Cadoink's Banshee, and he's going to run in and start just wrecking havoc on all these Marines. Cadoink very wisely moving his Marines away while grabbing his tank and SCVs to come deal with this, and Topeg takes his Marines into the medevac and runs away knowing that he's done the economic damage that he needed to do. Back in Topeg's base, we see he was able to get up 2 tanks at that time, and he hasn't quite started siege mode. Cadouink's siege mode is a little bit earlier, but Topeg is gearing up to take his natural a lot sooner than Cadoink is. Cadoink just having enough minerals at this time, he'll probably start thinking about getting that expansion, which he is doing indeed, building it directly into the natural rather than building it in his base, such as what Topeg is doing. We do see 3 tanks on the field for Topeg, while Cadoink only has the 1 and a Banshee. The Banshee will do really good against these siege tanks, but Topeg will probably start thinking about getting Vikings up. Cadoink is getting Vikings up at this time, and when Topeg sees this, he's going to say, okay, well, I need to get an air advantage or else my tanks won't be able to get that range that they need to do damage against Cadoink. So we see that the first Viking is finished for Cadoink, and another one will be started shortly after, while tanks are being produced constantly by both players. We see that he's loaded up his medevac with Marines once again, and they're moving out, going to be trying to do another drop in Cadouink's base. He does have some turrets at the edge of his base to make sure the same does not happen to him. Cadoink has not done this, and so this drop is going to be pretty devastating for Cadoink if he doesn't react to it in time. We do see that the drop is currently just sitting there. He's going to be moving around trying to drop behind Cadouink's mineral lines, going to try to pick off as many SCVs as he possibly can. At the same time, Cadoink is getting his engineering base so he can get those turrets up as well as some upgrades, and here comes the medevac. They're dropping the Marines in, and they're going to run forward and shoot this SCV and killing him. And they're going to be able to kill a lot of these SCVs. Cadoink running them away, sending him to his natural, which is just now finished. He's moving in with his Viking and his Banshee. Viking going to be able to pick off this medevac if he's able to catch up to it. These tanks are coming, and luckily they can't shoot up, so Topeg is managing to escape. And oh my gosh, there are turrets here, and these turrets are going to be able to shoot. Wow. Cadoink does end up picking off that medevac just in time, right out of the range of these turrets. Absolutely incredible and absolutely lucky by Cadoink that he managed to do that. At the same time, he has saturated his natural, having to run away his workers from his main, and he is going to be resaturating his main soon. Back at Topeg's base, we see Topeg is indeed taking his natural at this time, and he's going to be moving out with this large amount of tanks, 5 tanks, quite a bit of tanks, and as well as getting a tech lab up on his barracks to maybe get some marauders, if not then just that crucial stem as well as those other upgrades. Cadoink is moving out at this time with a small force of Marines and tanks as well as 2 Vikings and a Banshee. The Vikings will give him that extra range he needs to pick off these tanks, but Topeg has quite a bit of tanks, and it's going to be quite difficult for Cadoink to take that force out, especially with this high ground advantage that Topeg has. He's going to be sieging tanks up on this high ground, which makes it quite difficult for Cadoink. Cadoink, on the other hand, is moving his Banshee behind to start picking off at these tanks, doing some damage. He's going to be able to kill this tank, hopefully, before the Marines get here. The Marines come and, runs Cadoink away before the tank is able to go down. Great play by Topeg, moving his Marines up and making sure that Banshee isn't able to pick off any tanks. Cadoink, however, is going to continue to try to harass. He's moving his Vikings forward and sieging his tanks up, seeing if he can do some damage. But, oh man, they're going to be able to be seen by this tank up on the high ground if he's not careful, and it's going to be very dangerous for Cadoink. as he does not have that high ground advantage. However, he unsieges his tank, and Cadoink is able to pick off the tank on the high ground, and Topeg does a scan to see what exactly is going on. He's sending some Marines forward. He really should pull them back, and Cadoink's scanning on the high ground to make sure that no more tanks are coming to reinforce it. Cadoink moving forward with the Vikings to make sure he can see the siege tank, doing this little siege tank dance, poking forward, poking back. It's a little bit of a dance, a little bit of a game for siege tanks. It's quite difficult, and he's going to be trying to kill these Vikings with his Marines, which is very tough for Cadoink and very tough for Topeg, as they kind of have to push back and forth this little game between who has the most vision. We do see a siege tank being placed on the high ground once again. If he scans, he is going to be able to shoot these tanks, which he does, and one of the tanks is going to be able to go down because Cadoink can't see it and Topeg can see that tank. So that makes it very difficult for Cadoink, and so Cadoink is going to unsiege and kind of run away and say, hey, I need more tanks to fight this army, and so hopefully he'll be rendezvousing with the tanks, the 3 tanks and 2 Vikings at his back at his base. We do see some scouting going around for Cadoink with his Banshee, making sure there isn't an expansion up there. Very nice play checking that out. He should try to maybe get his Banshee healed up, repaired, and then try to do some more poking, seeing if he can pick off more tanks like this tank at the high ground that's very vulnerable to a Banshee attack. I like this taking of the watchtower by Cadoink, making sure that he has map control, making sure that his tank line is up and running, but he is floating quite a bit of minerals right now. He really should be mass producing stuff, which we do see 2 more factories on the way for Cadoink with tech labs on it, so he will be able to pump tanks out 3 at a time. Topeg, on the other hand, only has 1 factory, but he does have quite a bit more tanks than Cadoink. We see that Cadoink is gearing up to take the gold expansion. He's building the command center right there, destroying the rocks beforehand, while Topeg looks like he's gearing up to take this top left position, building this below the rocks. He's going to just float it up. Right now, Topeg is running out with his tanks and his Marines. He's going to see that Cadoink's army is at the tower, and Cadoink's going to see they won't be able to hold this off, and so he's going to run away. And now Topeg has this crucial control of the watchtower, and he's going to be able to see what's going on. He's moving forward. Cadoink's in a lot of trouble. He needs to siege up his tanks back at home, which he is doing at this time. Topeg doing a scan, seeing all the tanks are here. He's going to move to this left position, and wow, this is very smart by Topeg, moving to this ridge right here. He's going to be able to siege his tanks up and scan up this base, and oh my goodness, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. He's shooting the supply depot as well as this factory. These tanks have range of both of these factories, and that's really obnoxious for Cadoink. He really should lift him off right now, but I think he's a little frazzled at this time and doesn't know what to do. He's going to be moving his Marines up to this ridge to see if he can pick off these tanks. Well, the problem is Topeg has a lot of scans. He's doing scans and blowing up these factories, which is very bad for Cadoink and very bad for his Marines. He runs them in a little too early while the scan is still there, and another scan going down for Topeg, seeing Cadoink's base and making sure that Cadoink isn't able to run up and pick off those tanks. And wow, this is great play by Topeg, sieging up even more tanks and keeping his Marines there. He really should get some sort of air unit. Cadoink is moving forward, but oh, another scan killing all of the tanks because there are just too many Marines on the field, and this is just looking very, very bad for Cadoink. Floating 2,000 minerals, he needs to spend it. He needs to saturate his gold base, which he isn't doing, as well as getting those gas. He needs to build more factories. Right now he just has a bunch of barracks that are just getting crushed this play. We do see the Vikings finally have come for Topeg, giving him that crucial advantage he needs, that vision up the ramp. They're going to be able to pick off this Banshee as well as these barracks, but Cadoink sends in a few more of his Vikings to do some damage. 2 Vikings against 5. This was that Viking war I was talking about earlier. You really got to make sure you have a good Viking count in Terran vs. Terran, or else you'll lose air control and you'll lose that crucial vision that Topeg has lost. However, right now it's looking very bad for Cadoink, as Topeg is taking his 3rd expansion right now completely safe, as well as picking off these barracks. And we do see that Cadoink's overextending himself, losing a Viking to these Marines, and trying to use his Banshees to pick off these tanks. But there are just so many Marines and Vikings on the field for Topeg that it's quite difficult this time. He's moving his Vikings up on the high ground once again so he can get vision of this tank and destroy it. And it's going to be very difficult for Cadoink to deal with this at this time. We see that the expansion has finally landed for Topeg. He's going to start saturating this. He has destroyed the destructible rocks there, and he's going to have a 3rd base, and Cadoink has not saturated his gold base at all, so he's not getting anything out of that. It's just kind of sitting there. He really needs to be producing a ton of factories and a ton of barracks if he can. Maybe kind of try to run around and do some damage at the front of Topeg's base. We do see Cadoink is trying to do some attacks with air moves, and he is going to be running forward with a huge amount of force, and he's going to be shooting the tanks that are on the low ground, but a scan going down for Topeg, and the tanks are going to just absolutely destroy the rest of Cadouink's army. Cadouink's Banshee's going down as well as all of his tanks and Marines and Marauders, and all he has are 6 siege tanks up at the front, two Topeg's 4 tanks, and a huge amount of Marines. Plus back at home he has 2 more tanks as well as a large number of Marines he's been building up. And Cadoink doing a scan, seeing that Topeg is running away, but Topeg is in a huge advantage, just destroying a ton of those unit producing structures Cadoink had. We see that this whole top half of the base is just completely empty thanks to Topeg's wonderful little attacks. We see that Cadoink is finally going to start saturating its gold as well as moving these tanks forward to make sure he's protecting the gold. And we can see that these tank lines are very interesting. Topeg trying to decide where to start the next engagement, where to attack. He really should be scouting up and around to make sure Cadoink isn't taking any hidden bases, which he is not. But I do like this by Topeg taking this watchtower again. He will be able to secure the middle of the map really easily, and now he can think about starting to gear up for more expansions, getting those upgrades, and making sure he can just starve Cadoink to death by containing him. We do see a scan going down for Topeg, seeing what's going on. He sees that there are a good amount of tanks for Cadoink, and they are sieged, but he just has a much bigger army at this time, and he's just simply going to run forward and try to destroy him, stemming with his Marines and destroying all the siege tank with the Marines while sieging his siege tanks in the back. The Marines are going to do a ton of damage, but this gave him just enough time to siege the siege tanks right into Cadouink's base. Cadoink moving forward with the Marines and Marauders, but there are just too many siege tanks, and they all go down instantly, and now Cadoink with only 1 siege tank and a Viking. It's not looking good, and there's the good game by Cadoink. Wow, what a crazy game between Topeg and Cadoink, 2 members of NerVe clan. I hope you enjoyed it. This is the first game of a best of 3 series, and there are more videos to come. If you liked the video, please like it and subscribe. Also comment, let me know what I can do better. And yeah, we will see you guys later.